What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I just want to say before we jump in, a huge thank you for the support on the recent videos. We almost hit 1,000 views yesterday, which was the 11th. In one single day we almost hit 1,000 views. That's crazy. The last few UFC videos have all done over 100. One is almost 1,700 views, which is just insane. And also just want to say, if there's anything you want to see on UFC 3 or anything you want me to talk about UFC 4, then leave it in the comments. But let's jump into this video. The EA Sports UFC page tweeted out major changes for UFC 4, so we're going to be going through them today. I'd just like to say before we jump in, I'm very happy about this feature that they've done. Alright, so here we go. To our EA Sports UFC fans, this is obviously a big announcement for them. It may be surprising for some of you to learn that Ultimate Team is no longer a feature in our UFC game, and all I can say to that is thank fucking God. I was never a fan on the Ultimate Team. Yes, it was okay to play for a little while, but the UFC is just not an Ultimate Team game. It doesn't make sense. So they go on to say, it probably isn't surprising to hear that this decision we did not take lightly. When we introduced our vision for the Ultimate Team in UFC 2 and invested in significant updates in UFC 3, our objective was to create a deeply engaging experience for our players in the same way FIFA, Madden and NHL Ultimate Team modes have theirs. However, there are a number of factors that make team sports different from mixed martial arts. We based the final decision on two factors we felt were the most important. And before I get into those, I just want to say I'm glad that they're getting rid of Ultimate Team, because that could mean finally they actually update the game itself, not just keep fucking updating Ultimate Team and giving us shitty packs all the time. Maybe they'll actually fully update the game, and they'll spend their time updating player models, records, stats, and not just giving us crappy packs and saying, oh, guess this to get a shitty feature on Ultimate Team. Even though the mode is pretty lackluster as it is, you can update it and you can put lipstick on a pig, but the Ultimate Team was pretty poor in my opinion, and it always has been. Number one is, one of the most obvious ones is right there in the word team. MMA is not a team sport. I know fighters have teams and coaches and trainers that play a huge role, but only two people step inside the octagon. So Ultimate Team as a concept has struggled to fit in and resonate in the context of MMA. We spent lots of time and resources in UFC 2 and UFC 3 to make it fun and engaging, but the feedback we received directly and through player data was it still wasn't engaging as we intended for it to be, which makes sense. I think people played it for a while and become bored. Then when UFC 3 come out, they played it a little bit more and it become boring again because they've already experienced it in UFC 2. Speaking on player data, we see overwhelmingly less interest in UFC Ultimate Team compared to other titles. Lots of people played it and some still do, but the large majority of our fans prefer to spend their time elsewhere. The fact is loud and clear through our game data and it cannot be ignored. Which makes sense. You know, the only thing that would have kept Ultimate Team fun and interesting is if they let you play against your friends. Then you could take your created fighters, but yeah, your created fighters and also your upgraded fighters, and see what you can obviously see. You know, who's better, who's got better moves. That would have been fun, but other than that, there wasn't much they could have done. Looking at the number of players engaging with the UFC Ultimate Team compared to the amount of resources required to develop and support the mode, the math just didn't make sense. Even to port it from UFC 3 to UFC 4 without any material changes or improvements required significant time and effort, let alone revamping the mode to make it more fun and engaging. So we made the decision to refocus those resources towards new features and updates we hope all players will enjoy, in particular the new connected fighter profile, challenges, progression, vanity reward and improvements to created fighter features represent the results of our efforts to create something new and unique in EA Sports UFC for all our players. So there we go. That means they will be constantly updating the fight now, the online, probably the ranks more importantly, and the quick fight. So finally we'll be getting constant updates on things that matter. If you were or are an avid UFC Ultimate Team player, we understand this isn't good news. If you're disappointed, I apologise. Even though it's a small group of fans, we know those fans enjoy the mode and it is not easy to take that away. I think if you're disappointed by this, you're playing UFC for the wrong reasons. You've got ranks, you've got fight now, you've got career. If Ultimate Team bothers you that much, create fighters, realistic fighters, and go on to fight now with them and fight people online. I don't see how you could, if Ultimate Team was the funnest part of UFC for you, then I don't know what to say. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. If you enjoyed it, fair enough, but I think you've got to be really stupid to have that as your most important factor in a UFC game. It's just embarrassing. But there's also lots to be excited about. There are tons of new features and exciting innovations in UFC 4. I'm excited about being able to share more information with you in the coming weeks. The team will also be monitoring your feedback and questions as we get closer to the launch. Last but not least, I've included answers below to some of the most frequent questions we've received from all of you. So I'll remember to leave this in the link below, and so you guys can go and read any questions if need be. Stay tuned for more about the game. I cannot wait to play it. And as always, thank you for being part of our community. Sincerely, Brian Hayes, Creative Director of EA Sports UFC. So you know, there's actually lots of good questions that maybe we could answer. Okay, I've just been reading through some of these and they're really cool. We're gonna go through some and you guys can get a bit more information from me. Can we expect to see major changes to career mode? And the answer that I assume it's probably the creative director that has filled these all out. We see a lot of community feedback asking for a more diverse and meaningful career mode. In UFC 4 you will have new tools and more control over your journey from an unknown amateur to UFC champion. The new Fighter Evolution feature will allow your character to grow based on the disciplines they use in training and in bouts. Additionally, we've expanded your control over your fighter's career by allowing for more meaningful relationship building and more options for diverging career paths. We're excited to share more detailed information on what's coming to career mode in the coming weeks. That sounds... yeah, I feel like they're really focusing on the career. Another interesting one is, does UFC 4 stay true to its roots as an authentic MMA fight simulator? When we started developing UFC 4, one of our primary goals was to ensure we stayed true to the core UFC gameplay experience. We believe we've made improvements using the RPM technology and other core gameplay updates that will give players more control and accessibility to every phase of the fight. What are the biggest updates to UFC 4's gameplay? A key update this year is the expansion of RPM technology. We initially introduced it in UFC 3, but it was limited to striking and locomotion. With UFC 4, we've expanded it across multiple areas, including our new fluid clinch system. I'm so excited for that clinch system. Updated takedowns and additional striking variation. In addition, we've also added new ground and pound mechanics and grapple assist controls. So maybe grappling will come a lot more fluid and people will start to learn it more. It makes it much more interesting, I think. Even when you go online, yeah, you might go online and you might get beaten by someone on the ground. That's part of it. That's what it's all about. That's what MMA is all about, and that's what I love about MMA in general. There's so many ways to lose. There's also so many ways to win, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they change the grappling. Speaking of which, what changes can be expected to grappling? Grappling was definitely a major focus for our team going into UFC 4. We want to make the grappling more accessible from a control standpoint, which led us to develop the Grapple Assist option. Grapple Assist is a new control option that makes it simpler for new players to get involved in the ground game. The legacy controls are still available for experienced players. In addition to that, we've added a new number of ground animations to improve the experience regardless of which control options you choose. Okay, my only issue with that is if it's Grapple Assist and you get someone who's very experienced like me use it, am I going to be able to just stomp everyone who's trying to use legacy controls? Or are legacy controls better but harder to use? So we're going to have to see how they do that. If Grapple Assist and legacy controls are the same and there's no like quickness to the controls, then everyone's going to use Grapple Assist, obviously, because it would be the most easy one to use. It will be easier to stop every time. I'm thinking though, Grapple Assist is going to be limited but easier to use. Legacy controls, it's going to be easier to stuff people's takedowns, more variation, but harder to use. Another point that we brought up in a video before is what can be expected to submissions. We've overhauled the submission in UFC 4. If you don't know what overhauled is, it means they've completely changed it to create a simplified experience that activates 2 mini games that pop up depending on what type of submission you're in. We've also added the ability to strike during certain submissions, new submission chains, new slams, and exciting escapes from other submissions. So that makes, like I said before in another video, is that makes the ground game much more explosive, from takedowns to get-ups to submissions. Everything's going to be much more explosive and much more realistic and dynamic. What changes can be expected to Takedown? Okay, one thing that I don't know how they're going to do these, because they've always tried and so far takedowns have never felt fluid to me. Based on community feedback, takedowns were another area of the gameplay that were updated for UFC 4. We've expanded the RPM technology into takedowns, and that has allowed us to overhaul the mechanic in a way that we think players will enjoy. There are a multitude of new animations, from power carries, clean sprawls, and all new driving takedowns that will give players control during these impactful wrestling moments. So I'm thinking it's going to be something like what Khabib does, where he grabs your foot and he literally wraps his arms around your foot and pulls you closer bit by bit, lifts your leg up and then trips you. I think it's not just going to be as simple as a double leg, a single leg, a clinch, a suplex, you know, a hip toss, a tie clinch trip. I think they're going to be things that look messy but realistic, because not takedowns in real life are ever clean. Well, very few are ever clean. But I'm thinking they're going to be, some are going to look messy but realistic. Some will still be good, clean takedowns, like what Cody Garbrandt done to Dominic Cruz and Dominic Cruz done to TJ Dillashaw. But I think we're going to get much more realistic and much more harder to fight takedowns. Okay, one I'm not too bothered about, but we'll just read it anyways. Are there any new gameplay modes in the game? Blitz Battles is a new fast-paced mode where players will compete against other players online in a rapid-fire tournament. These tournaments will change regularly, with new rules set that are designed to keep the experience and competition fresh. In addition to that, we've also added the option for combined weight classes in Fight Now, so you can take flyweights against heavyweights if that's your thing. That's funny. I think that's good that they've done that online. They needed to make online more fun, and that's definitely one way they're going to do it. Is there a ranked mode for online players? The Online World Championship will allow players to take their created fighter or one of the UFC fighters online and climb through the divisions to chase the title. Regular rotations of weight divisions and improved matchmaking will allow for more diversity in fight selection and more balanced competition. Is there a licensed fighter only? Is there a licensed fighter only rank? Oh, okay. Is there a licensed fighter only rank mode? No. Almost every mode allows players to use their created fighter or licensed fighter if they choose. One of our goals was to try and limit the number of ways we separate players from each in an effort to provide balanced and unique experiences. This is one reason we created fighter archetypes for created fighter. These ensure that playing with created fighter does not provide competitive advantage compared to playing with UFC fighters. The highest rated UFC fighters will still be the best in the game. There we go. So created fighters are limited. Are there microtransactions in UFC 4? Yes, but only for cosmetic items. Everything else is earnable through playing the game. We're also offering players who skip pre-ordering the chance to unlock Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua by completing career mode on the hardest difficulty. They can also purchase in store. There are no randomized microtransactions in UFC 4. What updated customization options can be expected? Customization was a major focus in UFC 4. We want our players to have freedom to express their personalities and creativity. We've added over 1,600 new pieces of earnable gear, over 120 emotes using the all-new connected player profile. Players can complete challenges, earn experience and unlock rewards. Will there be an increase in tutorial options? We know that a lot of players enjoy career mode, so we introduced a new amateur phase introduction and a new sparring challenge system to help people learn gameplay as they progress through career. Practice mode is still an option that will want you to drill techniques against customizable AI. A new training manual feature will include dozens of short videos on the ins and outs of striking offense, striking defense, ground defense, submission, health and stamina. Is UFC 4 coming to next gen? Currently, we are not working on UFC 4 for next gen consoles. We're focused on finalizing the game for current consoles. What we can say is we're incredibly excited about the next technology and the possibilities that come with it. And that's everything, guys. That's a lot of details. I might make individual videos on things, but other than that, I'm very excited for this. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.